will be the automatic filing, docketing, and imaging of every filing. So within seconds or minutes of something being filed with the court, it will be available. That's pretty revolutionary.
Group of people that will appreciate the system on the opposite side, other than what the attorneys will utilize it for, is the storage space. The clerk of courts probably occupies 80 to 90% of this paper storage in the county. This is going to eliminate that. What you're going to see right now, the only paper that's going to be created during this case is going to be the initial copies that are printed by my office that are going to be sent out for service. Once that occurs, the paper flow stops. If the attorney wants copies, they can print their own copies. We're no longer going to have to store any of that information, so that is going to free up a lot of space in the county for storage.
And currently, I'm going to be logged into the eFlex system as in the external interface as an attorney filing a new case. So the case initiation screen that I'm looking at right now replaces a piece of paper that every attorney needs to fill out when they file a civil case in the clerk's office. It just answers a variety of questions, and I'm just going to do it electronically. The first box here is optional. If the law office likes to refer to their client in some manner that they identify as client number, they would put that in at this time. Next, in this demonstration, I'm going to say that my client is indigent and I need to provide an affidavit of indigency. The document category narrows down the type of document because we have so many documents that could be filed. I'm going to narrow it down and say, well, what I need is an affidavit, and here are the affidavits that typically would be filed on a new case. We've even narrowed them down to, is it filed on a new case or an existing case? And I would put a note in here telling the filer why it was rejected. But in this case here, I'm going to approve it and approve the filing. Now, I'm going to go back to my email as the attorney, sitting in their office last night at 11 o'clock, they submitted a complaint. They received an email that the clerk had received it, but shortly we're going to get an email that says the clerk has not only accepted it, but here is your, what we refer to as an NEF, it's a notice of electronic filing.
Just a real quick question. Does this allow, like if you have the last day to file something is whatever date, and the clerk's office closes at 4:30, whatever, but it's filed, it's sent in at 11:55 that night, is it still considered filed that day?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Thanks.
So the lights will be on downtown a lot longer.
And your iPad will be sitting there.
Or they'll be on a beach doing it, who knows? They can do it from anywhere.
The nice thing, you can do it from a chair on the beach.
Yeah.
And at this point, the attorney for the defendant has already filed their answer to the complaint at this point. So at this point, we know that Judge Hartnett has been assigned to this case, and the gatekeeper for Judge Hartnett is her judicial assistant. So now, as a judicial assistant, I'm going to file initial pretrial order. And the purpose of initial pretrial orders is a meeting between parties, attorneys, and judges before the trial to review the case.
Earlier, what would take hours upon hours to complete was done in a matter of minutes. Everything that you saw has already been put into the database, stored in CMS, and it's available for a matter of seconds.
So basically what you're saying today then, if I'm following this correctly, is that you've tested the other side, you've not tested the financial side, so we're not ready to roll it out yet.
Well,
Is that a correct statement?
Yes, that is correct. The process that we're doing right now, where Judge Heath is contacting some law firms to come in, and they are going to be trained to use the filing system. And then we are going to allow them to start filing electronically and with paper over the next couple months to parallel to make sure that the system is functioning properly with a go live date sometime the first of the year. Like you said, we don't want to roll this out till we know for sure that everything exactly is ready to go, because We got one chance to get this right. What you saw today is the system itself is functioning, with the exception of a couple of small things that need to be implemented and finished, like implementing the pay.gov for the online payments, and a couple of the financial side of some of the tweaks that need to be done. I know a lot of people said this wasn't going to happen, but what everybody's viewed today, it's happened. It's here, it's done. I mean, it's built. Now we have to keep moving forward and moving forward into the other divisions. This was all the brainchild of Judge Heath. I mean, her cracking the whip has got us to the point that we're at. And I mean, I tell you, the system we have is different than anything anybody else has anywhere in the state of Ohio. My brother.
I mean, we see hackers, you know, like messing up hospital records, ransomware, that type. You know, what are the security safeguards against that? And
That's,
then
that's where you build your redundancies in.
Right.
And all that's being accounted for and planned for in the programming and the development of the system. It's with no other system that's put in a governmental agency right now.
What
The
if
redundancies are built in.
what if it just stops working one day? Then what's the plan to try to? I mean, see, otherwise the courts could come to a, you know, if you're so dependent on the system, the courts could slow to a crawl if that were to happen.
The possibility to happen with the redundancies and the multiple off-site locations, and this being stored in the cloud on top of it as an additional redundancy, I think that issue ever coming to be is as minute as me getting stung standing in the middle of this room right now by a bumblebee.
How many copies of all these records will there be?
How many copies?
Right, like electronically.
Well, it'll be one set of electronic copies, but they'll be.
With
they'll be
how many
stored
backups?
They'll be stored in multiple locations.
Got it, okay.
If one area would go down, we would have the redundancy built up to be able to pull that information from another server.
Okay.
Somebody walks in with a paper filing, they lay it on the counter. We have to take that document, we have to timestamp it, approve it, we have to accept the funds for it manually. We have to take those documents then and give it to a deputy clerk is going to manually input all those documents into the system. We have to issue service manually for all those documents that have to be mailed out. All the way down the line. Anything that comes into my office and anything is done manually. This is going to be done electronically at light speed now.
And then our court staff has to go down and pick up our daily work, bring it up to our offices. We have to distribute it, and it makes its way manually amongst the various judicial staff that need to react and act upon those documents. And then we need to take stuff back down to the clerk's office for filing after we've signed orders.
Let's use the case that was done today. Attorney filed it from his desk before he would have to drive that complaint in or pay somebody to drive it in and file it for him. All right.